58. I don't see the gavel. That's okay. Tracy, is the gavel here? The gavel? Don't worry about it.
Mayor, is Devin gone?
Devin's out. She's sick.
Oh my gosh.
She's sick. She comes on and says, I'm sick. I said, it's okay.
You don't need to give it to you, and you give it to me. Be careful about that.
The trauma center.
Whoa, be careful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. You could just hit Tracy.
Tracy.
And we get started.
Thank you. I hope it's for you. If not, help me out.
I'm out of time, or am I early or late? It's about time? Is it about that time?
It's
About 30 seconds, I think.
5:59 on my computer.
Yeah.
6 o'clock on my computer.
All right, 9 through
6
6.
If everyone would stand, we'll call this city council meeting to order. First, let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, I'll ask Councilman Showalter if he will lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Welcome everyone here to the council meeting for Monday, March the 11th, 2024. Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll, please.
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mrs. Wilkins-Brent?
Here.
Mrs. Butcher-Conway?
Here.
Mrs. Hambrick?
Present.
Mr. Hampson? Mr. Showalter? Here. Mr. Stone? Mrs. Tackett?
Thank you. We have received the minutes from our last meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion, Mayor.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Allen, second made by Ms. Hambrick. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion carried. Next, you should have received in your council packet the receipt of check registry. If you have done so, received that, please raise your hand. Let the record reflect that all council members present received it. At this time, we have public comments. A reminder that public comments is you have 4 minutes to state your business to the council, and please be cognizant of that and respectful of that time. First, we have Mr. Dan Holman, and we'll talk about meeting times.
Hi there, I'm Dan Holman. I had 3 quick points I wanted to just talk about. So see, the housing needs assessment is on the agenda tonight. So I wanted to express, I've been going to, Candace is great, by the way. I've been going to her monthly meetings. So I wanted to express lukewarm support of this housing needs assessment. And I'll explain why it's lukewarm. Yeah, out of the several turned in, this was probably the best one. And there's nothing that's going to hurt from getting this information. It's a $49,000 is going to be information that will help us. It's just that there's a lot of other, housing needs assessment that have gone on around the United States that are like towns of our size that are all publicly available reports that we could go look at and kind of get an idea of what we needed to do. Also, Lexington is currently doing a housing needs assessment right now. So yeah, that's one meeting time I wanted to mention. And so I don't know if we're plugged into theirs at all. So tomorrow night at the Beaumont branch of the library, from 5 to 7 p.m., Lexington is doing a housing needs assessment open house. So that, and then they're doing some other open houses later. That's tomorrow, 5 o'clock at Beaumont, and then other places around town later. Moving on, I wanted to express support. I've sent some emails to you all about the KPDI applications and the business expansion. I want to make clear, I support, and we probably should support the Lanes Run expansion. So we've applied for this grant from the state, KPDI grant, for Lanes Run Business Park. We've also applied for the exact same KPDI grant, but a slightly different way for this Wiles Farm, this 500-acre farm that's between the two high schools on the bypass. And so we're looking to do, I think it appears, the same thing that's going on at Lanes Run, but we're going to move it over to the west side of town and just do it over there too. And I just think that is a bunch of random events that have led us to that location. So I don't support that location as a land use plan commercial. I think Caitlin Tudor, other people have expressed this. Caitlin Tudor was here a while ago, and she just expressed questions about it. And I agree, there's questions about it. And maybe she was thinking we could do some family-friendly thing. Do we need to put a factory on every lot in town, or are there other land use things? Once we get our comprehensive plan discussed, that will help. Also, in there's a letter to the editor in the paper recently by Grant Shear was his name, and he was from the Boy Scouts. He said he proposed a sky zone in town and other things such as Malibu Jack's main event, like these activities for kids. And I think that would be right between these two high schools, a good place we've all campaigned on activities for kids, like recruit instead of factories. The factories should go in the northeast part of town, the northeast part of town where they're going, and there's ways to get them there. It's just this one land came up and we applied for this grant, and it's not really the right land use. Thank you. And then to that effect, another group that spoke up about this land use plan is the Scott County Conservation District Board. And they're elected members. We all elect these people. And they have concerns about it. So another meeting time is they've scheduled a public notice in the paper that some of you may have noted. Hopefully all noticed. March 19th at 6:30 p.m. next Tuesday at the Extension Office. They're going to talk about, what land use plans in general and this part. And then one final meeting I'll mention is there's an election this year, all the way up to the President of the United States. But there's a Meet the Candidates event for Scott County elections. 3 candidates for City Council have scheduled this Meet the Candidates event for Saturday, March 23rd at 2 p.m. And it's at this red brick church, the Perfecting Praise Church, right across the street from the Ed Davis Center. So all of you, most of your candidates are welcome to come. Any candidate, even the partisan ones, and then everyone in the town, and especially the Boston neighborhood, we can just all talk about issues and things. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. I don't see anyone else on the sheet here who had signed in.
Can I say something? I'm sorry. Didn't get a chance to talk.
Yes, well, yes. If you would come in and you sign the sheet here for me, please, and come up and state your name, please. It's okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Great. Pardon, go ahead. If you will give your name here, please.
Hi everyone. My name is Brandon Lawson. So I'm come to talk about medical cannabis. I know that in 2023, Governor Brashear actually had an executive order to mandate that medical cannabis be legalized. Next year, it is going to be medically legalized in the state. I am here to essentially petition for Georgetown to allow dispensaries as well as cultivation as well. Actually, my partner here, Matthew, he is going to be our lead grower, but also I have a couple documents, white papers surrounding the impact of health and safety on the economy, as well as the benefits and the relationship between transitioning from opioids to marijuana, crime rates decreasing, and then also teen use rates and declining in that. And it's something that I did want to share with you all, as well as the economic benefit that we would be offering jobs as far as from a dispensary standpoint, but also from a cultivation standpoint, being able to offer secure wages, livable wages in that aspect. So, and I'll give everyone these papers, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, on number 6 on we have the event applications. We have Georgetown College.
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Jones. I'm the Director of the Department of Campus Safety. I'm here to represent Georgetown College in our application for our commencement ceremony that is scheduled for May the 18th.
Say that date again.
May the 18th?
Okay.
Graduation, May 18th?
Yes, sir.
So you're requesting let me make sure I understand it. You're requesting the streets be closed for that time?
Yes, sir. We have submitted a formal application. We are requesting College Street, Memorial Drive both be closed. Memorial Drive at Main Street, we have requested one marked uniform officer to block traffic from Main Street, also blocking College Street at the entrance to Knight Hall and at the entrance to Anderson Hall.
Okay. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ms. Brent. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Conway. Are there further questions and/or comments?
I have a question, Randy. The setup time is 7 a.m. and it says operations from 7:30 to 6:30 p.m. What kind of happens in the early part of that?
Basically, sir, during that time period, there is going to be final prep. Most of the staging will take place in the intervening 12 to 24-hour period prior to the day. However, there's going to be some last-minute setup specifically for the graduation ceremony itself, which will take place in Giddings Circle. Basically, it's to allow the vendors that we're going to be having come in to help with audio-visual and to facilitate the practice runs for the graduates.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions and/or comments? All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that this motion carried.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Southern Knights of Central Kentucky Car Cruise Inn. Is there anyone here to speak on their behalf? All right, there's no one here to speak on their
Mayor, I
behalf.
have a question about that. Is that the one that we put on hold? Have we gotten any more information?
We're still working with that.
Okay,
Okay.
so before the next
And they
meeting?
was hoping they would be here to explain more about that.
Okay.
So what we will do is we'll just put that into our next meeting.
Okay,
if they
thank
wanna
you.
come back. Okay? All right. A couple of things on mayor comments. They were being asked about the calendar events. Our city clerk, and I'll let her speak to this, and she's gonna give you a rundown how the process that she uses to coordinate the calendar for city council and others. Madam Clerk?
On our website, there's an event form, and when people call about a 5K or the graduation or whatever, I direct them to that event form, and they turn that in. They have to have liability insurance. I don't always require that before they come to the meeting. I put it on the calendar tentatively so that when we approve their date, then they can get it for that date. I have copied all of you all on these events so that you can see them on your calendars. So on your Outlook calendars, I send you an invite. You don't have to accept it, but you should be able to pull up your Outlook calendar
Okay.
and see what events are when. And I know Sandra accepted all the dates, so now your calendar's all full. So if you have a problem with that or you can't find your Outlook calendar, let me know and I will help you work through that.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to be bringing to this council later the appointment for the Planning Commission, to give you kind of a little background that this vacancy occurred because Matt Summers, who used to be the planner for the Planning and Zoning Commission, left and took a position in Oklahoma as a director, and thus creating that spot. They then, Rhett Shirley was selected by that commission to be the next planner. So he was a commissioner at that time, so by him taking that position, left this vacancy. So I'm going to, in the next, probably for sure, the first meeting in April, should have to do a recommendation for a filling of this appointment at that time. Okay? Another things coming your way will be the fiscal court has approached me on with the work is going on downtown with City Hall, the pavilion, which is be starting soon, and of course the Justice Building has created some limitation, as we know, with the parking. So that being said, they want to talk about a partnership with the city of Georgetown to collaborate to pay half of the cost of that. Now, again, we'll bring you more information on that at a later date and time once we get all the figures and that. But that will be coming your way, and hoping that you will support this endeavor.
And Mayor, that was where the center of town was?
Yes, the center of town.
And do we know how many parking spaces that might open
We
up?
will have all that at that time later.
Okay.
Next, street pavings. If you, council, have some street pavings that you want to put on the list, be sure to send that to me as soon as possible. As you know, they'll start the street pavings soon, so get that to us, and it would be great to know that. Our quarterly update with, or informational with Republic will be at our next meeting, and they're going to be coming in as part of their requirements. And like we did in the first time they came in, if you have questions or concerns that you want them to address, as we did before, send those to me. I will take those and send it to the administrators for the Republic, and they will then get those questions answered, and they will have it as part of their presentation, just like we did the first time. All right? And last but not least, excuse me, Stacy, our finance director, is want to remind you that your revenue forecasting is due to her by March 25th by high noon. So make sure you get that into at that time. All right. Next, we have the council committee reports, and I'm going to go with police first, and Ms. Hambrick.
All right. We met on March 4th at the police department, and Assistant Chief John Nash was there. The mayor, Devin Golden, our city CAO, and our city attorney, Emily Buttram, and myself. And we talked about staffing. At that time, I believe we had 67 of 68 positions filled. I don't know if that's changed in the meantime, but they're the same. Okay. And our goal, or their goal, is to be able to get officers in the department that it can eventually fill the traffic unit role. So we're looking forward to that. They're doing recruiting. They had an event at Georgetown College. I was told Chief Allgood actually teaches a course in criminal theory at Georgetown College, and that one young lady expressed interest in doing an internship. They're also probably have already now gone to EKU for an event that was on the calendar. School resource officer discussion is of particular concern because the legislature right now is probably, based on our meeting on Saturday, it seemed like they're almost certainly going to give $20,000 per SRO position, which is very helpful because, you know, in the last legislative session, or maybe 2 years ago, they mandated that each school statewide have an SRO position, but they did not fund it. So this is just partial funding, but any funding is funding that we don't have to do on our own. Rifle optics, I believe, are going to be discussed this evening. Maybe not, but I believe it is. And the council is going to be asked to approve a budget transfer to make the purchase of these rifle optics possible. They're going to transfer it from, I believe, the vehicle budget line to the firearms line. And it'll cost about $38,583 unless that number has changed. We did have a lot of discussion about the traffic unit. And there are so many criminal behaviors that I've read in the research that giving funding to have 3 extra officers so that a traffic unit can be formed from the general population of the increase in the police officers themselves. Being able to form a traffic unit is going to help all kinds of things besides just parking and speeding tickets. So I think it's an exciting safety accent to our city. We're also working on the checkpoint program. And there was firewall discussion. We need to get increased security, but also increased speed for our internet. So that's another thing that we talked about, and that is, I believe Captain Lodel is working on implementing that. And there was just some extra discussion about now that the weather's nice and there's a lot more activity downtown, there's increased patrol taking place in the downtown areas to keep our city safe and orderly. That's it.
Thank you. Also, I think the fire committee, you ready this week to go?
I'm gonna ask Chief Thompson to come up with me because I don't think I ever got my notes. I have about a few notes that I have.
Okay.
But I,
What?
oh,
Okay.
I mean, I have some notes, but you don't want to? It was
It's
short
just not
and
a,
sweet. It was short
yeah,
and
it's
sweet.
just not appropriate to bring staff up for this part of the
Yeah.
agenda. But if you have notes from the meeting,
I
from
do.
your
Yeah.
recollection, that's totally
I
fine.
do. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure, he can correct me though if I'm wrong with some of these items or whatever. Is that okay or not?
Yeah, you can give me just what you know. Yeah, be fine.
Okay.
It's up to you. We can wait
Oh,
to the
that's
next
fine.
meeting, or you can go with what you have.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We met on the 22nd of February, and everyone was present except for Chair Walter, which was fine. Chief Thompson updated us about the new training center, and it's going very well right now. And hopefully, we'll be able to take a tour of that and maybe even meet in it by May or June. The guys are really working really hard on it, you know, in overtime or whatever like that. Code enforcement has been pleased with the property owners' responses on issues that they were cited for. There's about 2 properties that aren't actually in compliance, but hopefully working on that. We talked about a response trailer being needed, and that's where I was going with Chief Thompson, because I can't really explain that, but that's gonna be coming up to discuss for the, probably on the budget or whatever, for the fire department or whatever. And they also talked about getting a cell phone stipend, which needs to bring up with, when we're all here aboard, that we can hopefully vote on that for them. And that was pretty much all that we had.
Okay, next, I think we did finance, who was did y'all need this week? Are you ready to go, or you need another
We
week?
did not have a meeting, so we're not ready.
Okay, so we'll just, okay. All right. Next, we have Chase.
Whoops.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one purchase order for your consideration tonight, and that is for Desotech. You've heard me bring this before council before under a different name, Evoqua. This is for our carbon changeout at wastewater plant 2. This is an annual exchange. It is a budgeted purchase in our current budget, and it is for $55,535.
Okay.
Happy to take any questions. Wastewater plant too.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Mr. Allen,
I'll second.
second made by Ms. Conway. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that this motion passed. Next on the agenda, I'm going to bring up Ms. Stacy Clark, our Finance Director, to talk about the municipal order approving cost of water main extension and associated water-related expense for Alexis Way EMS station.
Yes. If you'll recall, when we approved the municipal order in September, that was adjusting the construction cost with the contractor. So that the fiscal court had presented us with. That municipal order did state there would be some additional costs not covered under that construction contract. So this utility water line installation is one of those costs. So we're just bringing you that information. I believe we're estimating our half to be about $210,000. We do have money in, we have about 2.1 million in the budget right now. So if that water main extension takes place before June 30th, we should be able to cover that. And of course, when we adopt the new year budget, we will make sure we've accounted for any remaining cost on the EMS station.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Hambrick. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Brent. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that this motion passed. Next is B, and it is, I'm going to bring up next will be Candace Whitehouse, and she's going to be talking about the municipal order approving contract for housing needs assessment.
Yes. So as you all know, we've been talking pretty much since I took this position about wanting to do a housing needs assessment for our community, Scott County-wide. And so we did the RFP process, and we brought RKG as the folks who we want to use to take us forward with this project. And so they were the best out of all of the responses that we got, and we feel very confident that they will be able to help us deliver a quality housing needs assessment.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Hambrick. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Conway. Are there further questions and/or comments?
I have a comment. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a very helpful thing to be able to identify with data just what the needs are and how then we might have a vision to address it. I also know that once you have a document like this, it's much easier to get grants. And we are all about grants. And so this is kind of a foundational, I wouldn't say requirement, but it's looked upon very highly for grant recipients if they see that a study has been done to identify actualities rather than just guesses. So thank you for bringing this to the council.
Thank you.
Is
I have
there
a
any-
question.
Yes.
Last year, I think it was, Ted Abernathy's group did a pretty comprehensive study for planning and zoning, and that dealt with commuter patterns, housing trends, economic trends. Just a large study was conducted for our area. Is there anything in that information that we can use versus purchasing something that may have a lot of similar data in it?
Yeah, I'm sure that there would be some information that we could even pull from that study, and something that we anticipate with our housing needs assessment is to collaborate with people like planning and zoning. And so I've talked with Joe and Elise about this already, and they also would like this study to move forward. So I think it would be more in depth maybe moving than what they've done, or different information.
Do you know what the differences are? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, because I know that what they did was extremely detailed. I don't know how it compares to what we have here.
Yeah, so I think it would just be additional information, specifically like focusing on, I know low income would be a focus of this study. I know that housing in relation to our jobs and manufacturing community would be a part of this. And then community engagement and manufacturing engagement. I think it would be a lot of additional information that we don't have yet.
So I want to put you on the spot at all. I'm just asking questions because I know there was a lot of money put into that. Could we use, what would we get if we used that study?
I haven't read that study, so I can't say exactly. But I do know that I've talked to Joe and Elise, and they are supportive of this. And then we also are, I forgot to say earlier, partnering with the county and Scott United to pay for this all together. And so I think we're all have a vested interest in making sure this study happens.
I understand that it's being split 3 ways, but I would request, I don't know if we can have a discussion on this, but I'd like to see that study be looked at to see if we can use that versus the study that we have on the table. That could save some money if it's viable or not.
Well, first of all, do you have a motion to accept what is before us at this point in time?
I make a motion.
Okay? And we had a motion and we had a second,
We had
so
a second.
It was me.
maybe it's you. So at this time, you had discussion, so that at this time, make sure that, Emily, I'm doing the right thing here with this, is that we could look at more information or by retracting the motion. And then we can, I think, further look at more information with that. Are we going the right steps with that?
Well, motion, I would have to retract it, is that correct? Since I made the motion?
Yeah.
Personally, I think that since we have 2 other entities that want to join in with us with this study, I think it's important enough to move forward. I also think it's important to pull from that study and for you to take a look at it and for Scott United to take a look at it and to go ahead with it. I'm going to go ahead with my motion.
Okay? Then we still have a second on it. Are there any further discussion and/or comments?
So to clarify, the motion on the floor right now is to approve the
Yes.
contract that's being presented tonight.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, do you want to keep that motion? Or do you want to take it back to have more conversation?
I want to keep that motion and move ahead.
Okay, so is there a renewed second?
I think
Is there a renewed second on this?
Millie did, but.
I did, but I'm wondering if the information that you're talking about putting in with it makes a difference. How long of a delay would that be to get that information to see if
So
we
if
can
you could,
collaborate?
if you can withdraw your second,
Well, what I'm wondering, if it matters to get the information from this other study.
So you either have to withdraw the motion, you have second, or continue to keep it.
I guess I'll keep it.
Thank
Keep
you.
the second.
So now, is there any other comments to this or questions?
I have a comment. I mean, I'm all for the, for the homeless and the assessment or whatever, but I agree with Councilman Alonso here about seeing what the other research is bringing, although we're splitting it 3 ways, we're still trying to find money and revenue and everything. So, I mean, I'd like it to be held off too, but the motion's on the table.
Mr. Showalter, you,
Are there time constraints that we're trying to get this, or is there a specific time frame that we're needing to have this done by?
I mean, there's no deadline. This is a 6-month project, and it will take, 6 months once we get started. So if we delay, it'll just be later. And this is something, like Will said, I really believe that we need. So just depends on how you feel about it.
And I don't want to speak for anybody up here. That's not what I completely understand what we're trying to accomplish. I do. I would like to see what's in the study that's already been done. And if that just means putting it off for one additional council meeting, and I don't know if we can get that information within the next 2 weeks.
We should,
I'm not against what we're trying to do. I would like to see what's in the study that's already been done. Again, I'm just speaking for myself. I'd like to see what's in it.
So at this time, we're ready to be, we have any more comments, we're ready to actually have a vote.
So based on the conversation that's happening, you have two options. You can
Right.
proceed with the motion and the vote that's on the table,
Or rescind it.
which would be to approve the contract as presented, or you could withdraw your motion and you could table it till the next meeting and then pick up that vote at the next meeting upon receipt of this additional information. So currently, the motion is to approve the contract as presented. Those are your options.
Well, it sounds like it won't go through with the comments that have been made, so I'll wait. I'm sorry that it has to wait, but I'll pull the motion.
So you withdraw your motion?
Regretfully.
Okay. So withdraw the motion?
So you'll want to call for a new motion
Yes.
to table.
Now, so I need a motion to table it to the next meeting to further discuss it. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to do that.
You have a motion made by Ms. Brent. Do you have a second?
second.
Second made by Mr. Allen. Are there further comments and/or questions?
One comment. I know we need the study. I'm not trying to say we don't need it. So I support the study, just trying to look at it from a cost perspective.
Okay?
Mayor, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Is it possible that whatever information that the planning and zoning has, that we can get that information before the next council meeting? Is
I
that
will-
possible?
What I will do is I will put somebody on that to research that for you and get that information to you. So if you will put that down for me, thank you, ma'am. All right, so, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise.
Me? I'm
All right.
opposed.
Let the record reflect that the motion to table it to the, to next meeting or future meeting passed. Next, I'm gonna bring up, the, city engineer, Ed Hightower, and he's gonna talk about A, the municipal order approving subdivision dedication. That's the golf townhouses and at Cherry Blossom Phase 6.
Thanks, Mayor. Mayor asked me to give just a quick rundown of what these dedications really are for the council, as a reminder, probably for you. When the developer starts a new project, a new subdivision, he usually breaks it up into phases, and he'll complete a phase. And once it's built, the streets are built, the stormwater is built, all the utilities are in, he does what's called a dedication, where he delivers those assets to the city, and then we own them and maintain them forever. And that's what, how the process works. The developer builds the roads, they build the stormwater, they put everything in, and then they hand it over to the city to keep it on our books to maintain. And that's what the dedication is. And so tonight I've brought two new dedications. One is golf townhomes at Cherry Blossom Phase 6, and the other one is the Fox Run Unit 1. They're complete, they've been inspected, punched out, and are ready to be taken over as city streets for the city.
All right, so do I have a motion? We can
Motion,
do
Mayor.
both.
Motion?
Okay, motion made by Mr. Allen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Brent. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of A and B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda from the finance, once again, Stacy's gonna come up. It's gonna be the second reading of the amendment to the budget ordinance Sponsor is Greg Hampton and Alonzo Allen. Madam Clerk?
An ordinance amending the annual budget ordinance for fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Summary. General Fund. Prior year revenues are decreased by $1,886,395.27. Property tax revenues are increased by $100,000. License fee and permit revenues are increased by $2,350,000. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $96,077.50. Other income is increased by $690,000. General government expenses are increased by $309,793.73. Police expenses are increased by $214,018. Fire expenses are increased by $133,000. Code enforcement expenses are increased by $250. Public works expenses are increased by $40,000. Community service expenses are increased by $12,000. Interlocal expenses are increased by $626,620.50. Transfers to other funds are increased by $14,000. Business park funds. Prior year revenues are increased by $500,000. Capital expenses are increased by $500,000. 911 fund. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $1,075. Dispatch 911 expenses are increased by $2,150. Grant fund. Federal grant revenue is increased by $6,000. Local grant revenue is increased by $3,000. Police expenses are increased by $6,000. Public works expenses are increased by $3,000. ARPA fund. Community service expenses are decreased by $100,000. Interlocal expenses are increased by $100,000. Cemetery fund. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $14,000. Transfers from other funds are increased by $14,000. Cemetery expenses are increased by $28,000. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 629 North Broadway, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Publicly introduced and read for the first time February 26, 2024. Publicly read the second time March 11, 2024.
All right.
Let me go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to briefly update on what this does. Obviously, anything listed as previously approved is listed with a resolution or municipal order stating council has already taken action on that item and we are adding it into the budget. There are four revenue line items that I am showing increases. That is occupational license fee, payroll tax, insurance premium tax revenue, property tax, and investment income. Obviously, investment income based on some of the actions that council has taken recently. The payroll tax is simply bringing that up to what we collected last year, as well as some additional payroll taxes that we've heard about that should be increasing as of January. The others are just based on trends and where revenue came in last year. In addition to that, the new items for the general fund are mainly for vehicle maintenance and motor fuel, where we have underestimated what we would need in those line items with the vehicles as they start to get older, past that 5-year range, and the wear and tear, and just the cost of everything that's gone up. So they need additional money for that. And a lot of the police items, the firearms training, the uniform purchase, the computer equipment, and the communications equipment, that is due to adding new staff. So they had planned for their typical uniform allowances, but had not budgeted for what it would cost to outfit all the new. They've been doing a lot of hiring this year, so just counting for that. And then cemetery had a couple of additional requests just to get their temp help through spring and summer, and landscaping just to finish those up. So they still rely on temp help. So those are the main new items that you have. Everything else had been previously approved.
I do have a motion.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Mr. Allen. Others a second.
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Conway. Are there further questions and/or comments? At this time, Madam Clerk, if you have a roll call.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilkins-Brent?
Yes.
Mrs. Butcher-Conley?
Yes.
Mrs. Hambrick?
Yes.
Mr. Showalter?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion passed. At this time, We're gonna stay up by
Yes,
Stacy?
I'll stay up here for the next item.
The next item is police, and it's the municipal order approving police budget transfer.
Yes, as Ms. Hambrick mentioned that they discussed in the police committee meeting last Monday, there is a request from the police department to move $30,000 from their vehicle line item budget to the firearms training line item budget. What this is anytime, there's an ordinance in place from 2005 that anytime we move more than $10,000 between line items in a department's budget, that's the most that the mayor and I have the authority to approve. So anything above 10,000 requires council approval. So the municipal order is to approve the transfer to allow them to make the purchase of the rifle sights. And so that's what it is. If you have any questions, let me know.
All right.
I make do we need a motion?
Yes,
for
I
that?
need a
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
Motion is made by Ms. Hambrick.
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Brent. Are there further questions and/or comments?
I have a
Yes.
question. So, maybe I misunderstood in the police committee meeting. Are these rifle optics going to be given back to the military? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I mean, we can both, I think the ones they currently have in their possession are on loan through that federal
They're on
program.
loan from the military.
And they're aging and have to be returned.
Right.
So this
Okay,
is to
so
purchase new.
we're not going to get any money back from
This
the-
is to purchase replacements.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not our equipment, it's on loan.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Are there further questions and/or comments anymore? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Next, we have council comments, and I will start with Mr. Allen first.
We do have a finance meeting scheduled for Monday at 8 o'clock, so that's coming up here shortly. And then as far as the survey I mentioned, will that be sent to all council members? Is that the plan?
I will look to try to do that, yes.
All right.
Where's it going to be, Alonzo?
I'm sorry.
Where is it going to be?
It is at the police department at the community room
Okay.
at 8 o'clock on Monday. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Ms. Conway?
I'm supposed to tell you, but we sure do need that street fixed on West Main Street over the bridge where we did all that work, because it's a lot of bumping, a lot of cuts and that, so if that could be on your list, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. That's
All right. Ms. Brent?
I just want to thank Chief Thompson and his crew for the job well done on the fire. Unfortunately, lost a victim, but we need to pray for our fireman, the chief, and his crew, because it's very hard when they have to deal with an incident like that. So I ask the community and the city to keep all the guys in prayers, and if there's anything that I can do, please reach out to me.
Yep. Ms. Hambrick?
Yeah, the legislative breakfast that the chamber sponsored on Saturday, they're always very interesting to go to, and many of the bills that are going through the state right now directly affect cities. And the emails that we get from the Kentucky League of Cities advocate uniquely for the cities, and there are lots of things that we just need to be aware of, because they can have an effect on our budgets and the quality of life here. So I hope the public is paying attention as well as I know our city council is, and the mayor was there, and Connie was there. I can't remember who else was there, but they're important to go to anytime the state legislators are in Scott County and speaking to us. They're important. Often a lot of fireworks taking place, but this one was calmer than the last one. Also, I'm concerned about the tragedy with the fire department, and I know that it's hard for you all to see all that and to realize that there was a death involved, but I'm thankful for the service that you all give, and I'm anxious to get our needs assessment back on the docket, because I think that housing is a critical need, and I hope that we can integrate whatever is in that other study quickly and move forward on this at our next meeting. That will be my hope. Thank you.
Mr. Showalter?
I'm good, Mayor.
Right. Okay, so if there's no other further business to be brought to this council, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.